Today we're going to be telling you how to make your own stocks at home. So when you're making beef stock, it's important to know that there's two different ways of making beef stock. Number one, you can either make brown beef stock or veal stock, which is a young cow, you could look at it, or you can make a white beef stock. Okay, so the difference between the white and the brown is the brown you have to roast the bones first, and you also have to add a pinçade. And the white beef stock, you do not roast the bones, you just put the bones in and you start making the stock right away. But first we're going to be talking about what you're going to need. First you're going to need a large stock kettle, of course. If you do not have one of these, you'll need something smaller and you'll have to do it in batches. You'll also need some tongs to move around your bones. A nice towel. I use a towel. I do not like mitts. Mitts are dangerous and I don't think you have much control with those. So a towel is a lot better. Some bones. We have just regular beef bones here. These come from the shank and also from the foot as well. You want to get bones that have cartilage on them and a little bit of fat is good, and meat on them a little bit if you have it. You'll also need 2 pans or however many pans it's going to take. It's important that you have pans that have sides so that the oil and the juices from the bones doesn't go everywhere. So first thing we're going to do here is we're going to wash these bones. You need to wash these bones because they have a lot of blood on them sometimes. You don't want blood to go into your stock. Blood will cause you to have very cloudy stock, which doesn't taste good, number one, and it's very ugly. So you want to make sure you rinse those off. Okay. When you're putting these in the pan, make sure there's plenty of space. You don't want them to be crowded. You want the air to be able to touch as much surface of the bones as possible. If you have a convection oven with a fan attachment inside the oven, that'd be great. If you don't, that's also fine. I don't have it, so it still works fine. Also, the oven needs to be preheated to about 500 degrees would be perfect. And you want to roast these nice and slow. Well, it's not going to be slow at 500, but you want to roast them nicely at 500 degrees. Or 450 is fine also. So go ahead and preheat your oven 20 minutes ahead of time is good, at least. Alright. So at 450 degrees or 500 degrees. And we're going to check this about every 20 minutes or so. And then you're going to be using your tongs, which I said earlier, just to kind of flip them around. And I'll show you what it should look like when it's done, and you should take it out of the oven. Alright, now I'm going to show you how to just kind of get your bones out of the oven and just give them a turn. You need to do this, like I said, every once in a while. This is very hot, that's why you need your towel. Very, very hot. 500 degrees. You close your oven to keep that heat in there. As you see, these are very hot, very sizzling. You're just going to go ahead and toss these around. You might want to have to do this like a couple times before they're done. Also, to show you how much fat, as you saw, I didn't put any fat in this before, and you can see how much fat has come out of these bones already, just in that corner. Make sure you always use a towel to touch it. Don't forget about that. Keep the towel in your hand. Okay. Back into the oven. And we'll check it in about 15 minutes. As you see, they're much darker here, and we didn't put any oil in there, so we didn't need the oil, extra oil. Okay.
Alright, here is going to be a quick illustration on how you need to fill your stock pot up with your bones and the water. As you see, the bones are submerged inside the water with at least 2 inches of space in between the bone and the top of the water. This is important so that the bones are submerged under the water at all times. Make sure it stays like this and cook it for at least 8 hours, and then you go to the next part after that.
Alright, our stock has been going for 14 hours now, and if you can see, it has changed color a lot.